So you've set up your Microsoft Word document, and what I should have said in that previous video is hopefully some of you will have done some of your SWOT and your pestle, which you can also copy in. If you've done some of your SWOT and pestle, then copy that into your notes as well. I should have mentioned that on the last video. But imagine you've done that, you're all set up with your Word document, and now we're going to look at this part B, and you should be spending 10 to 15 minutes. Some of you will be able to analyze it more quickly. Remember, you'll have a paper copy of this part B, and you're going to go down. The first couple of pages are just the general rules of the exam, and they're saying here by the end you need to produce 2 documents. Well, they say 2 documents. We tend to advise people just to do it on one Word document, so report 1 and report 2 on one Word document, and just keep saving. Or you can create 2 Word documents. That's up to you if you want to do that. And they say, if on this one, activity 1, so when we talk about activity 1, we're talking about report 1. And when they talk about activity 2, the budgeted plan, they're talking about report 2, the marketing plan. And you should already have those headings. And now we're going to get into some specifics. So you're going to take 10 to 15 minutes reading through this, because they're going to give you more information now. Some of it might be duplicated from part A, but there might be new information in here that could help you with your pestle and with your SWOT, and help you when it comes to picking out data that you're going to use in your actual reports, because you've got to use some of this data to show the examiner that you're using it. So in here they talk about different competitors and what they're doing, and the way they're using technology here and social media. And it carries on, talks about the market and what people are doing now in terms of exercise. And then it talks about collaborations. Like, all of this matters, because some of this stuff, you've got to read it carefully. Some of this stuff you might think, well, actually, I'm going to suggest that they do something similar as well. Or I'm going to take this idea and change it slightly for Decreal. And the reason I'm going to do it is because the competitors are doing it. And some of the larger competitors will have already have established a reputation for doing this, and if Decreal do it as well, they'll be able to maintain their market share when compared to these other competitors. They also talk about where, so in terms of place, how these other brands sell their goods, so retail outlets like on the high street, but they also talk about online and platforms like Amazon. And then they talk about price. Okay, so here's the average price here. You've just got to see what you're presented with. Now, price is particularly important because you can see on the next page where they start talking about Decreal, they give the price that Decreal sell their products for. So hoodies, 40 to 50 pounds. Up here, we can see the average price in 2020 was 68 pounds. So Decreal are already, in this example, using price penetration, you could argue, because they're going below the market value. Now, this matters for the 7 Ps, because you could talk about whether or not they should continue to use price penetration, or should they use other strategies. So we can see here, I skipped ahead there, in this part, you can see they're independent sportswear, they design and make their own products, that matters. Price range in here, like I said, you want to compare, and that's going to figure into the pricing. Here they're giving you some more information. You know that they've got a reputation for quality and style. So when you're writing about the product part, you could talk about how they should continue to focus on that. And you also need to talk about the marketing message and how that links in with that, but we'll talk about that later. Now, here you've got to be careful, you read this carefully. They only sell through their own website. Make sure you look carefully about the business that you're given in your exam. How do they currently sell? Is it through their own website? Have they got an online presence? Have they got a high street presence? Do they do click and collect? All of these things matter, because when you write about place in the 7 Ps, you're going to suggest whether they should continue to be online only, or do you think they should have a store or two, like a flagship store, maybe in London, or it just depends on the business that you get given. Do you think they should sell through other platforms like Amazon? And why do you think that? Well, when you say why, you should be talking about the fact that, there are other competitors sell through Amazon, and you should also be referring back to part A and what you've learned about the customers and how they like to buy and where they like to buy. But anyway, I'm carrying on with this and I'm making notes. Whenever I see what I think is an opportunity or a threat, I'm putting that in. But now I'm also adding to my SWOT about the strengths and weaknesses. Now, straight away, excellent reputation, that's a strength. Okay, that's a strength. The collaborating with a number of graduate designers, well, could be a strength because they're people that have just finished university. Could be a weakness because they're not very experienced. They exclusively sell through their own website. Now, again, compared to competitors like JD and others, I would say that's potentially a weakness because that's only one distribution channel to get your products to the customers. So you're going to add things to your SWOT here. Now, the strengths and weaknesses that you couldn't do before. And if I go down to here, research by Decreel, so they're talking again about their YouTube and Instagram accounts and what's happened with those YouTube and Instagram accounts. They're not doing, their sales revenues haven't grown despite popularity on those accounts. So what could they be doing different? That's what we were trying to think about. Now, the next page is also really important. Before, on part A, all you were told is that they wanted to increase revenue. That was their overall aim. Now, you're given more information. They want to increase revenue for increased brand awareness. Okay, they want to make people aware of their brand and they want loyalty. They also want to build relationships with existing customers. So not just one-off purchases, they want to build that relationship so they can get those regular purchases from customers. And they give us other information like increased sales from existing customers and by encouraging them to interact with social media platforms. They want to attract new customers as well. So lots more information about their aims. And we're going to use these aims to help us decide which of these two options we're going to use. And for me, I tend to always go for creating content for a social media campaign because I think it's easier with the information that you're given down here at the end of part A, where they talk about social media and how much it costs. It's easier to cost that up. But you can go for a loyalty scheme. Remember, if you have a strange one like a loyalty scheme, you can still talk about how you can go about promoting that loyalty scheme. And part of that might involve social media. Finally, the other important bits to note down is 20 grand that they've got. And you've got to run this campaign over 30 weeks. So you're getting all of that in your head and you're getting ready to choose one of these options. For me, I would choose this one because what you're going to start doing is you're going to start writing your part B report, starting with report 1, where you do an intro. And remember, you can also have your notes there on the side and hopefully you've reminded yourself about what to write in the intro.